everyone, my name is Michael Bertoni, and I'm the founder and CEO of PhillyTech, and your host for Tech Talks every Wednesday at 12:30. I'm extremely excited to be with you here today because I've had a lot of people come up to me and people that have been coming back and giving feedback about the show, and they really want to learn sales best practices for software and technology companies. So that's going to be the topic today. I've been doing sales and business development for software companies for over 20 years. And again, this show, Tech Talks, is dedicated to everyone out there listening, entrepreneurs, software companies, tech startups, companies, any company that is selling anything can benefit from this technology. But again, that's the focus of what we do at PhillyTech. So PhillyTech is 100% focused in working with software companies, tech startups, entrepreneurs, and we really focus in on three core things for our clients. The first thing is recruiting, and I had a past show where I talked about recruiting best practices. The second thing that we do is engineering and development, where we're building software and apps for our clients. And the third thing that we do is sales, business development, helping you generate revenue for your software technology. And this is an extremely exciting topic for me because before starting PhillyTech, I was an expert in sales. I worked with software companies. I helped them sell. I carried a bag. I carried a quota. And I was really focused in driving revenue. So I created this process, this sales process and best practices to help companies. And when I started PhillyTech back in 2014, I always wanted to deliver a sales service for my clients. So, and I've got a few very awesome clients and some actually great news that just happened recently. So two of my clients that I work with where I'm focused in sales is Monocle. So Monocle Software is a legal software platform for legal research. And the other company that I work with is Meetings Complete. And we just had some tremendous news just recently with Meetings Complete. And I'm not going to get into all the details, but really, really exciting stuff. So with Meetings Complete, PhillyTech built their software platform basically for conferences, large conventions, events. It helps automate flights on a very large scale, right? So we built this software from the ground up, right? And after we built it, I was responsible for selling the technology, and we just got a huge win that is ready to close, so I don't want to announce it yet, but we just got a huge win with one of the largest conferences in the country. All right, so this process that I'm going to talk about again for sales is something that I've been doing for 20 years, really been helping out companies. So let's start with the basics first. So when I engage with a software company, a tech startup, or an entrepreneur, I actually have a meeting today with a software company that's focused in building an app for physical therapists that looks like a tremendous app. And so what am I going to do with this founder when I meet with him in the beginning, right? So the first thing that I'm going to do is understand the technology, understand the software. So many people that have built technology, they understand their software, they understand what they've built, but they really have not captured a few really core things. One is, what is the value proposition of that technology, right? Software in its essence, any software, and I've said this on other shows, it does a few core things. Software that helps increase productivity, software that helps you lower costs, increase customer satisfaction, and drive revenue. All software does these things. But it's very, very important to sit down and understand for those particular areas, how does your software help particular things, right? So for this physical therapy app that I'm going to be talking about today, how does it increase productivity of a physical therapy practice? How does it make life easier for them in terms of doing tests and things like that on patients? How does it make life easier for them? Obviously, by having this technology in-house, it helps them see more patients. By seeing more patients, this helps you drive revenue, right? It helps lower the costs of ownership because you have companies that have a lot of people doing this. When you have software, you need less people to do the work. And again, it makes your clients happier, right? So it increases customer satisfaction, right? So the first thing that you need to really be thinking about is what are the unique things about your software, about your technology. Maybe you just have an idea. Maybe you're an entrepreneur and you have an idea in your head and you're thinking about building software. The things that we do compared to everybody else in the industry is whenever you're building software or you've built software, you got to be thinking, how am I going to sell this software, right? So I've met many entrepreneurs and many software companies in early stages. They've spent $100,000 to upwards of $1 million building software, and they haven't figured out how to sell it yet. This is not the way to do things, guys. You have to be always thinking about how are you going to sell it? What are your unique value statements for your audience? So that's really the first thing that you need to do, right? The next step in the process is, who are you selling to? Again, this might be very, very simple. Everybody's like, yeah, that makes sense. But you probably have clients, right? For this physical therapy app, right, that's one. But so for my clients that I'm working with now, Monocle, right, the Monocle software, who is their ideal audience for this software? The ideal audience for Monocle is actually these software companies that build legal research products. Companies like LexisNexis, companies like Wolters Kluwer, companies like Westlaw that build legal research technology, right? So that again is the next step. You have to figure out who you're selling to. You probably have clients that you're working with. What are their titles? What do they do, right? So the third thing that you have to do once you have this information is you have to build a database of people exactly like your clients. Who is your exact target, right? Whenever I'm working with any software companies, you have to figure out very quickly who is your exact target to sell to, right? What is their title? What type of companies do they work in, right? And then you have to go out and build a database. Companies that are existing out there, they probably already have this. They have this in Salesforce, they have this information in HubSpot. But what happens is this information gets stale, right? You always have to be updating this information. You have to understand who are my ideal targets and companies, right? So whenever I'm working with any software company, it's very important to come up with your top 100. Who are the top 100 companies that you want to get into to sell your software, right? Then you continue that out. You build out the database. You build out the contacts, their phone numbers, their emails, their LinkedIn information. And this is another critical step that we do at PhillyTech. We find unique data about that person and about that company, right? If you are trying to get a meeting with somebody to talk to them, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but you have to understand more information about them. You have to understand their LinkedIn profile. Wouldn't it be great if you knew where they spoke at different events? Maybe there are places they've been written up, say in the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times or some trade mag, right? If you have this data, it's going to be a lot easier to get out and reach out to them and warm up to them so they can work with you, right? So those are the first 3 steps in the sales process. And come back in a few minutes because we're going to continue out the process and talk to you about how you can run campaigns, which is extremely important, and then improve sales process in order to drive revenue. So come on back to Tech Talks in a few minutes.
Our uncommon drive, our spark within, that brings us together and sets us apart. We are temple made. And when others take shortcuts, when others take breaks, when others take the easy way, we take charge.
Add us on social media to watch bloopers, behind-the-scenes footage, previews, and more.
I work 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. So when I'm off the clock, I gotta get stuff done. So when I need a snack, I need something healthy, tasty, and easy to eat. Like wonderful pistachios without the shells. They're protein-powered, delicious, and great on the go. And that's perfect for me. Thanks, Liz. A woman without a lot of time.
Whether you're a gourmet cook or just want to eat like one, visit Rostelli Market Fresh, your home for the freshest, locally sourced ingredients to please everyone who loves great food. Our organic meats, quality seafood, and free-range poultry are cut fresh to order. Chefs create culinary-inspired prep foods made fresh every day, which pair nicely with our vast selection of fine wines and spirits. Choose from handmade pastas, artisan cheeses, organic produce, and grocery items, all from the finest purveyors. Rostelli Market Fresh, from our family to yours.
RVN TV is a platform for people of any industry to share their story. Over 285,000 viewers are tuning in to RVN TV shows monthly. We guarantee.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Tech Talks. My name is Michael Bertoni and I'm the founder and CEO of PhillyTech. And just to recap here, guys, we're talking about sales process and best practices for software companies and tech startups. And we've covered 3 things so far. So again, to recap, the first thing is you have to understand what is the value proposition of your technology. You have to start by understanding that, right? And then what you have to do is you have to build a database of your exact targets, right? And this information needs to be refreshed. And a subset of that data is, in my experience and what we're going to talk about in a few minutes, finding unique data about the company, about the contact you're going to target and try to get a meeting with. This is the most important thing, right? Finding this unique data. So if somebody's trying to get a meeting with me, right, out there, and they talk about where I was published in different trade journals, right? Maybe a video that I did somewhere, right? That is going to warm up to me. So those are the first few steps, guys, first 3 steps. And then the next thing that has to be executed is campaigns, right? So once you have this data and this information, right, it's extremely important to run campaigns, have those campaigns be multiple touch points where you might send an initial email out to an entire database, right? And in that email, guys, or in that information that you send, you are starting with your unique value proposition, how you benefit them. So if you're trying to get a meeting with somebody, you got to talk about how it's going to help them, right? How is this software going to help them? How is it going to help them increase productivity, reduce costs, improve customer satisfaction, and then also drive revenue, right? So those are the 4 key things you need to talk about in your email. You also need to talk about your clients, right? These are called proof points, guys. In that message, you're saying you do all these great things, but who cares, right? If you're saying you do all these great things and you work with these customers, and here's a quote by one of the customers, and then on top of that, here's a little video of the value proposition. These are the types of things. So you got to get your messaging right when you run campaigns. So typically with our clients, we're running campaigns over really 2 main areas. Actually 3. One is email. The second is social platforms like LinkedIn. And the third is phone, right? So we have these campaigns that we're running, and it then goes back to touch points, right? So I talked about this in previous videos that I've done, but when I got started in sales, in software sales, we had a metric where we had to make 80 outbound phone calls. This was back in like 1999 and 2000. We had to make 80 outbound phone calls a day. I was making 150 outbound calls a day, right? So this has changed a little bit today, guys. Touch points, I feel personally, are better with things like email, things like social, like LinkedIn, but you also use the phone. So you need to design these campaigns, and the whole goal of these campaigns, guys, is to get a meeting, right? So we look at the entire message, starting with the subject line. The most important thing with a campaign is the subject line, guys. That's what someone's gonna see. Someone's gonna see that in their email inbox. They're gonna see your subject line. Are you gonna compel them to read down into the email? If you send out something over social channels, you should have a header, right? A header is like the subject line. Is that header going to be interesting enough for them to read down and understand more about what you're doing, right? And that subject line, guys, or that header, we look at extremely scientifically. Typically, the way we look at it is really a couple core things. These are some of my tricks that I use, so this is really good stuff, guys. Run a campaign. It's called a referral campaign. So you start your message, if you're sending an email, with referral dash. Then you talk about some of the unique value proposition things, right? So give you an example of how we did it for Monocle, right? This might make it easier. So we say referral. Then we say dash, Monocle, unlock revenue opportunities, then dash, quick meeting, question mark. Someone sees that header in their email, we want to spark curiosity. We want someone to go, wow, what is this? And let me read down. That's the first step you got to get through, guys. Whenever you're doing any type of campaign, the email and the subject line or the header, that has to be compelling enough to get somebody to read down to understand more. So you start there with the subject line in terms of the messaging. Then I have a whole process where I have a warm-up. I call it a warm-up. So I go, hi, John, right? And then the key thing, guys, is to take the referral, right? So I have this way that I do referral marketing. I call it referral marketing, where I get people to give me meetings. In basically a few hours, they respond. Starts with referral, right, in the message. Then there's the warm-up. Remember that unique data that I talked about? So my manager, my boss saw you or reached out to you. They wanted me to reach out to you, right? That's the referral, something like that. And then after that, you discuss, hey, I saw you in the Wall Street Journal. I saw you in Inc. magazine. You even maybe put a link, right? So they're looking at this and they're like, wow, this person, it's a referral. They know a little bit about me, right? So that's the warm up, guys. And then you talk about the clients that you have and the unique value proposition, right? So that's the second paragraph. And then the third paragraph is the call to action. Because again, on the subject line, you have quick meeting ? We wanted to see if we could have a quick meeting with you for 20 or 30 minutes. If you let me know a few dates and times that work for you, I'll get you a calendar invite, right? This email, guys, is compact, right? It's really only a few sentences. It's 3 paragraphs. And in my experience, when you get this right, it compels the person to, here's a few times where we can talk, right? And these campaigns and the way they're designed, guys, so you can send a message, right? Then you could follow up with a phone call. You could follow up with another email. So these are all touch points, right? And the metric that I use with my team is they have to send out 100 touch points a day, right? Again, I was able to do 150, but that was me, and I want to be realistic with people. So there's 100 touch points go out a day. So think about this. We're sending for our clients 500 touch points a day to the right people, the right list, with the right messaging. And then typically what happens, guys, is we get anywhere from a meeting to 4 meetings a week for our clients, right? So that's our biggest value is getting in the door, right? So we get you in the door, right? And that's we run these campaigns. And then once the lead comes in, then we work with our clients to simplify and make better the process. What's the process now where you do that first meeting? How do you run this first meeting? Typically the first meeting, you're talking less, they're talking more, you're understanding their goals, their objectives, their challenges, right? And you're understanding more about them. So then from that meeting, that intro meeting, then typically you want to do a demo meeting. And sometimes you can get to the demo meeting in the first meeting, right? But in many cases, you want to get information so you can build a custom demo for your client, right? So how many times have you been in a demo and somebody's showing you a demo and it has nothing to do with what you care about, right? And then how many times have you been in a demo where it's a custom demo based on exactly what you want, based on your goals, based on your challenges, right? These are the things that we do. We help our clients create custom demos for the actual customer based on information, right? So now the client says, hey, I'm interested. This is great. So we work with software companies that understand how to license their software and how to sell it. And then we work with other companies where they have no idea how to license their software and sell it. So we work with them to build a software license agreement. You might already have one. If you don't have one, we help you build one. And we did this for all of our clients. You know, we helped do this at Means Complete. We helped do this at Monocle, right? And then we, again, deliver this software license agreement to the potential client or prospect. We review it with them. We go through it. We add in any services that you might need to include in that. And then what we do is we get them to, again, sign that paper, right? Sign that paper, sign that software license agreement, sign that statement of work that we're going to do work, and then we're all high-fiving, we're all extremely excited that we want a deal, but that's where things start many times for the software company, right? You want a deal, now you have to onboard them into using the software based on their goals, based on their objectives, what they want to do. You have to help them recognize the value of your technology. So all the things you talked about earlier about how you can help them increase productivity, how you could help them reduce costs, drive revenue, things like that, you have to help them quantify it, right? They're not going to do it themselves. So when you start delivering the software within your client, You have to be supremely focused on showing them how they could see the value, right? This doesn't come easy. It's not simple. But once you get this information, guys, it turns right back into case studies that you could reuse for your clients and back. So the loop comes back. So now you have a great client, a happy client, quantifiable value for that client, and now you're putting it right back into messaging to get more meetings. So really, really excited again to talk to you about this, guys. It's really my passion. Before I started PhillyTech, that's all I did was software sales for software companies. And you can reach out to me at PhillyTech.co, or you could even call me at 215-817-3295 if you need help selling software, selling technology, anything like that, or even know anybody that does, please let them know. So again, really appreciate you coming to Tech Talks. I'm really excited to be here talking with you today, and come back next week and every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. Thanks for coming to Tech Talks.